Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We spoke earlier today to Brad Langille, who's the CEO of GoGold Resources. They're one of our favourite gold stories of this year. We talked to Brad about the money that they raised recently and what they're going to do with it. Quite an aggressive plan. If you want to hear our opinion and thoughts on the company and the conversation, go to cruxinvestor.com/club. You can also get company reports, analysis from experts from around the world. You get training videos, summaries of other interviews that we've done. Of course, there's a thriving community of investors sharing their thoughts and ideas with each other in there too. And if you go now, there's a 7-day free trial. And of course, we'd love your feedback too. So do give us a like and leave your comments. And if you want to see what we discussed today, take a look in the description below. Hey, Brad, how you doing, sir?
Good. With you from sunny Mexico here today in our boardroom at our office down here in Chihuahua.
Oh, fantastic. I love the thought of that in Chihuahua. Hey, so what are you doing down there? What's happening?
Really, what I'm doing, I get down here 2 weeks out of 8, and it's about catching up with our team. We have a very strong team here, and looking at the drill results coming out of Los Ricos North in particular, and meeting up with the more the engineering type guys on the team and talking more about that PEA that we're going to have before the end of the year at Los Rico South.
Okay, fantastic.
That'll be the first chance for people to put economics around this, around the first target.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. Like we spoke of, quite a few weeks ago now, and I wanted to catch up. We've seen a succession of news releases. Okay, so you told quite a good story to me last time we spoke about what was going on down at Los Ricos South, what you're planning to be doing with Los Ricos North. And, so we have followed this quite closely. Since we last spoke, you've done a raise, 34 million, in fact, 34.5 million bucks bought deal. I mean, why 34.5? Why then? What did you hope to achieve with that?
Well, we look at doing a raise, and always the argument is dilution and, but we don't look at it quite that way. We knew we had a plan for that money, and it's not going to be dilution, it's going to be accretion. And that plan is Los Ricos North. Part of it is for that study in Los Ricos South. I want the institutions in particular and our retail investors to say, hey, here's 950,000 ounces of gold equivalent. And this is what the economics look like around that. So that's what a target looks like when it's at 2.25, 2.5 grams. But now let's look at Los Ricos North. And I'd like to talk a little bit about what's going on up there, because Los Ricos North, our thesis, our belief, I'm getting more and more confident every day about this, is that Los Ricos North is many fold bigger target than Los Ricos South. Nothing wrong with Los Ricos South. I think it's going to be a mine in its own right, and will get bigger with more drilling in the future. But Los Ricos North was just waiting for us. And Matt, you remember that in March, we had 5 critical claims that we acquired in Los Ricos North. We couldn't really start before we had those. Okay. We got those in a deal in March, and now it's pedal to the metal and lots of drills.
Okay, so you needed that amount of money. I mean, it's a big chunk of change, right? And I appreciate, look, your market cap's gone up, share price gone up. You've had a great 12 months of it. But did you get any pushback on that volume of raise at that particular time?
Well, I want to tell you that we went out and raised that money, and it was about 1.5 times oversubscribed before they closed the book on it. So it really was well received by the institutional market. We've had a little pullback. A pullback in the sector, which I think is very, very short term. But no, we raised that amount of money. We went out to raise that amount of money. There's provision for an over allotment, which obviously got filled because it was very well subscribed. And but we said that's enough shares at this price. Now let's show how we make that money accretive to our investors, and let's deploy those funds in the most aggressive exploration development project in the country.
Okay, but what does that mean? What do you mean? What's accretive mean to you, and what's aggressive exploration mean to you? What are you going to do with that money?
So right now we have 6 drill rigs working in the south, in the north, and we're going to now add another 2 to 4 drill rigs before the end of this year. So we'll be up to 8 to 10 drill rigs. And that's 10,000 plus meters a month. That will be the biggest drill program in Mexico. Now, we're not going out there to drill those hills just for to make drill contractors rich. We're going out because we have some of the best targets in this country, and we're going to drill them. And again, Los Ricos North, we view it as being exploration potential. And let me tell you what exploration potential is in a 43101 definition. Exploration potential is literally what you think the volume can be of that mineralized zone. Now what we have to do is drill off that volume as quickly as we can. Why go slow? We're in a good market. We're in a good time for precious metals. It looks like it's going to get better and better. Let's not wait for the cows to come home. Let's go and drill like crazy now. And we can do it. We have the technical ability. We have the logistical ability. We have the bank account to do it.
Okay. The bit I like about your story, which I liked day one from the story, when we first talked way back when, data. You had a lot of data. You had a lot of historic data, which you processed and reprocessed. Has that helped you with your target? Because I'm looking at a succession of press releases here. That's why I phoned you. But thanks for taking the call, by the way. Is the numbers look quite good, right? You haven't had a bad result. If anything, they look, equivalent, if not slightly better than what you've been seeing down at Los Ricos South. So was that off the back of that data? I mean, how did you know where to go drill?
Well, I'll tell you one thing for sure. At GoGold, we don't believe in reinventing any wheels here. What we always do when going into a project, we look for all the historical data and we do a compilation. And we have some people on the team who are exceptional in that. So we've done that in Los Ricos North as well. Some of the data we got was very confusing to us. One target, not in this press release, but the last one, there were about 6 or 7 historical drill holes there done by a company back in the late 70s, 80s. They're called Admiral Bay. And we looked at these drill holes and we said, those drill holes look nothing like the surface sampling we're doing on that target. They look nothing like the underground sampling we're able to do at that target. We dig into that data and then we find out, wait now, in the reports they kept complaining about they couldn't get good core recovery. So we focused on that. We focused on good core recovery. We got the guys to use triple tube, which is more expensive drilling, to get good core recovery. And that ended up, as in the last press release, that first time we drilled that target, and we literally were twinning holes where they had less than a gram, some of them dead. And we ended up getting things to like 11 meters of 529 grams, 5 meters of 737 grams silver equivalent. So it's about historical data, seeing what people maybe did wrong in the past and saying, aha, not going to make that mistake. It's tough ground to drill. So we brought in the best, and the results are there. So there's things like that. And it's also about, at La Trini, where today, we put out 5.6 meters of over a kilo silver equivalent. And at La Trini, it's something different. It's something different than the other wide vein structures, which are 10 to 50 meters wide in some cases. Trini is a different animal, and we're getting some extremely high grades, meaning why the high grades are where they are and where they're not. And I think we're going to have something very, very special there. So, that's the technical work that the team I've worked with so many years, they've become so good at.
Right. I mean, so there's a lot of drills running here. Being able to do 10,000 meters a month is, as you say, exceptional. What's the point at which you put a flag in the ground and go, right, we've got all of this data, we've got enough here, we're going to analyze it, see what we've got, take a breath, and then kind of, work out whether we continue along with the same plan or we change tack? I mean, how does it work between now and Christmas, say, given you've got all of this capital?
Well, I think for sure one thing we're not going to do is take a breath. Now, by that I mean again, we're going to have the most, or one of the very most aggressive drill programs in Mexico. I look at a process where if we're drilling 10,000 meters a month, that's a lot of companies' drill campaign for a year. And what we should do, we always want to update the shareholder. We want the shareholder to know what we're knowing. And so we see by maybe the first quarter next year, by the latest the second quarter, comes out our first resource. And people are going to say, oh, you're targeting in this first resource, say 1 million ounces. And, oh, that's it. So it's the same size as Los Ricos South. No, it's not. What we want to do when you're drilling 100,000 meters a year, we want to update the shareholder with this resource and say, okay, now we'll drill the next 30 or 40,000 meters. We'll revise that resource. We'll give an updated resource. So we're going to use a 43-101 resource study just as a tool to summarize the work we're doing, to keep on summarizing. Maybe every 6 months we'll be summarizing and grow the ounces. So will be our tack going forward. And we'll have to keep on stressing, when we put out a resource, that doesn't mean we're done. That just means we want you to know how well we're doing and how well you're doing as a shareholder.
Well, that's what I mean here, because sometimes people just they keep drilling. We've no idea what the plan is. It just seems to be they get excited about the drilling and kind of forget how to add value. So you're going to do regular resource updates. That's what I'm hearing from you, right? You've got nearly a million ounces at the moment. What does the data? I know it's kind of early days, but what does the data indicate to you? Because we've always talked the game. We're here having got off the phone with you guys and going, it seems to me they're trying to join up Los Ricos South with Los Ricos North and everything in between. That seems to be the game plan here. Is that how you're going to be spending your money? What are you trying to prove to us, the market?
We are, as a team, we're very good at an early stage on a project saying what could be there. And then we're very good at doing the drilling and saying what is there. And so my team, they have a nose for that. What we're going to do, though, what we also want to do, when you have what some people would have as their resource and becomes their reserve and becomes their mine, like Los Ricos South, we want to show the market before the end of this year what a target that's almost 1 million ounces, what the economics look around that. Remember, it looks like a pit. It's a pit constrained resource at better than 2.25 grams gold equivalent. There's not a lot of pits out there 2.25 grams. So we want to show what the economics of that look like, because then we want people to start saying, what could the economics look like, the millions and millions of ounces we're targeting in Los Ricos North. So we want people to have kind of like a benchmark to say, well, these could have similar type economics with these kind of grades. Now, obviously, studies will prove that out, but that's what we want to do. That's the idea of the PEA. I don't know. Maybe these two districts, or Los Ricos South, Los Ricos North, will come together in one mining operation that has a whole bunch of synergy. But that'll be determined later. Maybe that's at more at the pre-feasibility level. We see in Los Ricos North, the focus right now, ounces, ounces, ounces. Build ounces. Show the investment community what we believe. Our belief is that could be a multi-million ounce target, and we believe it is a multi-million ounce target. And now the idea with all that money and all those machines is to get the answer and to see that we think we're right about that. And I think the data is going to prove that out.
Okay, so you used a phrase earlier about taking advantage of the market at the moment. The market's up. You've raised the money just before the market reset, so you got lucky with that one. Market cap around 350 million at the moment. The market is watching you. But apart from drilling 10,000 meters a month with your 34.5 million bucks that you've just raised, what else do you think you need to do in terms of structuring the plan, who are structuring the company and delivering the plan for the company over the next few months? Because I want to get a sense of, are you looking, because you've got a good track record of building companies and flipping them, right? Are you in this to build this into something significant, or do you think as soon as you get this thing up around $400 or $500 million, you take advantage of the market? I'll take the money now. It's a lot easier that way. I mean, what's going on in your head about what you want to try and do with this company?
You're right. We have a track record of doing deals and making a return for the shareholder. And I am the second largest shareholder of this company at around 8%. Certainly, I think that aligns me with our shareholders. And but I guess, do we have something significant here? We already have something significant. Now we're going to move to something that is world class, that is beyond significant. And if I could, just for 1 second, I'd like to throw up Los Ricos North, that a little map, so I can just refer to a few things I'm talking about here, and the go forward plan here. So this is part of Los Ricos North. And again, we think about exploration potential as being volume. So this one target right here, Solomon Favor, that target is about 1.5 kilometers there. So in volume, that target has the same potential as when we started in Los Rico South. And Los Rico South, we drilled it. That's how you change exploration potential to a resource. You drill it and you apply a grade to it. And then you do all the calculations, block models, and we get the number of ounces that we feel we have in the different categories of that resource. Here you have the same volume in this target. Now, we went in there first. Again, we look at history. We look at, there was a mine there. There was a high-grade mine there. A U.S. family, the McKeever family, back in the last century. It was a significant mine. It just didn't add up. We saw the initial drill holes there that a company, Admiral Bay, did back in the early 80s. And we said, these make no sense. So the team said, okay, we don't walk away from this target saying, well, somebody already put 6 or 7 holes, they were dead. We look at it and we say, what could have gone wrong for them? And we figured it out. They were getting terrible core recovery. Does that affect us as mining it? Probably not. It just affects, the sample that they were getting. So we're able to use our knowledge, rely on people in the industry to get a setup with the drill that's going to recover that broken rock, and we did. And we start getting things like, 11 meters of 530 grams coming out of there, 5 meters of 700 and over 700 grams gold equivalent. We look at this target as having the same exploration potential right here as Los Rico South, where we just drilled off our resource. Exploration potential. That's one. Trini, over at Trini, those great drill holes that are coming out of Trini. The understanding we're starting to get around Trini and understanding why it's there. Why those beautiful high grades, like 5 meters of a kilo, 17 meters of 330 grams, why they're there. That's a lot of the puzzle here, understanding the why it is where it is and why it is not where it's not. So here's one sample, exploration potential of Los Rico South. Here's another target where we're getting extremely good grades and has significant potential. Here's Malola. Now, Malola is something, maybe not quite as much as that, but it's something, again, it was an underground mine, high grades, wide structures. We're almost ready to drill at Malola. And at Malola, that's where we'll add some of the extra drills here in the next 30, 45 days. And then you have things like this one. So there's the one, same exploration potential as Los Rico South in that one target. Here you have Trini, could have similar. Malola could have similar. And here you have this other prospect over here, El Rito. El Rito, where you can see on the map there in our presentation that's on our website, you can see we're getting better than 5-gram gold equivalent samples from surface. It's a silicified zone in some places, not meaning it would be carry the grade over 100 meters, but there's up to 100 meters wide of silicification. So there, we're going to start. We just started drilling there this week.
Well,
So,
Brad, can I just ask about this, because there's a lot of land that you don't have. We have talked in the past about maybe building up the land package somewhat. Is that something that's still on the horizon for you guys?
Absolutely, and we chip away at that all the time. We've actually done some small claim deals already, and they're not of a material event for us until we know what we picked up is has something significant in the drill rig. But one area that we have or we are very close to having, it's not significant material as far as, hey, we've just bought another Los Ricos district, but there's a 40-hectare claim there that we would have picked up. And we're doing this in the course of business all the time. We talk to a family there and they say, look, we have these 40 hectares. There was an old mine there. And, in 1940, they developed in the sub-levels. They never mined it, but there's this, map with 3,000 samples on it. And, we're interested. You guys are doing so much work in the district. Would you do some deal with us here? And we say, well, maybe we can give you some money and we'll take it for a year. And if it's there, then we'll buy it off you. And we determine what the final price would be.
Right, okay.
But we're doing things like that all the time. We're picking up little claims here and there. And but that one in particular over there is interesting in that there's already 3,000 underground samples, albeit we can't confirm them until we drill there. But I'll tell you that they're very, very high grade from the historical samples. And now we'll find out what they are. So we have so many places to add 10 drill rigs. And that's 10 drill rigs on stuff that we see as stuff we can build resources on. Don't forget, I think I mentioned it in a couple of different calls, but don't forget that kind of box right there is where we're building resources. I like the part of the business, and our team likes the part of the business on some real pure exploration as well. And what I mean by that, we go back to a map from 1916 that we have. And that map out in these hills on our claims, there were almost 50 small mines. This was the Jalisco monograph of 1916. Well, we've had a team working there even before we got those 5 necessary claims in this area, so we could open up that big drill program. We had a team working over here. We had those claims. And they've now visited all of those 50 claims. And they did a 2-day reconnaissance visit. Hey, is it a wide structure? Is it a narrow vein? What volcanic unit is it in? And took a few reconnaissance samples. But they found more than 50. They're up to 95 targets on that list. Those 95 targets, now they're prioritizing them. And there are some results out there on those reconnaissance samples that are great. And we're compiling a map on that. And we'll put it into, it's surface sampling. We're way beyond just surface sampling that we're going to put a press release out on, but we're on, it's drilling. But we'll compile a map. It'll be on our website. We'll put it out in one of these press releases along with drill results. And that team, from now to the end of the year, what they're going to do, they're going to prioritize, say, the top 5 on that 95. And then they're going to do detailed mapping on those 5. And then come the new year, we're going to give that team 2 of their own portable drill rigs and say, now go do discovery drilling. Go drill some of that stuff, not for resource initially, but for discovery. And that's going to be a very exciting program.
That's interesting.
So you can see that we raise that money. We've got a vision on what we're going to do with that money. We had a reason. We're not raising the money just because the window's open, in the investment banks and they're offering all kinds of money. We have literally, I believe, the best undeveloped assets in Mexico, and we're going to change that. They're not going to be undeveloped.
You got a plan. You got a plan, Brad. That's
we have a plan. Yeah.
That's what I thought from day one. Especially when I saw this image way back when, it just kind of got us excited here. Certainly got the analysts excited. Just one last question before we go, only because we've been talking to a few people who have been utilizing AI. You're a big data guy, which is one of the big things I like. You're a big data guy. Have you guys ever sort of come across or considered or had discussions with groups who can sort of bring all of this data together and make it a bit more easy to interpret, or is that for the future?
I think on AI, I agree that there's a real use for AI in the industry. If you look at a project that we sold to Agnico a couple of years ago, Sandra Gratuitous, that was a great deal for us. You know, we had bought that for $9 million. We spent 11, then 3 years later we sold it for 80 million cash, and the royalty that was then sold for 15 million. That project had 2,600 drill holes. It had hundreds of thousands of rock chip samples and soil samples. Now, that's a massive database. At that time, this AI was just starting to come into the business. And at that time, I'm sure we could have got an enormous benefit out of AI with that big amount of data. And here, potentially, but I don't think we have as big a data set yet. Yeah. But AI definitely has a place in the industry for sure. Fantastic.
Brad, thanks so much for that catch up. It's as good as I hoped. So appreciate you making the time. I know you're down there working in Mexico. A lot of drilling coming up. I suspect a lot of more press releases to come. Come back on soon and let us know how your thinking's changing and evolving, as it does, because we'd be delighted to take that phone call.
Great. Thank you as always.